JB here. Hope everyone's doing outstanding. June 24th, 2024, the last week of June, the last week of the first quarter, the last week of the first half of the year. Should be interesting. Not much in the way of catalyst. We have the PC data at the end of the week on Friday. There's still some earnings reports. I believe Nike's on Thursday, Micron's on Wednesday. Outside of that, it's probably going to be headline driven. A lot of the headlines wrapped around AI and NVIDIA. Last weekend, it was the comparisons between this current market environment and NVIDIA's rally to the number one market capitalized company on the planet, to Cisco back in 2000, which was kind of comical when you have a company like NVIDIA's 60% plus margins, throwing off 40 plus billion dollars in free cash flow, where Cisco was not even close to that. So apples and oranges, but this week or this weekend, still some negative narratives around NVIDIA. Some of it now is the founder, CEO, president selling shares on the open market. Meanwhile, it's a 10.5B1 plan, so it's a pre-planned sale that started in March. So it's not like he looked at the rally in the market and his stock and said, "Wow, now's the time to sell. I'm worried about my the current environment or where our company is headed or things like that." It has nothing to do with that. It just says, we're going to plan some sales out. He has a huge holding, and people expect him. What is he going to hold on to? Another 1,000% or 10,000%. It's comical. Anyway, so rants for other days. Take a look at the SPY down 2 days in a row. The S&P is actually up 7 of the past 8 weeks. So at some time we have at some point we have some kind of pullback. I don't know if it's this week. I mean, outside of catalysts, I mean, maybe it's either a prime time for someone to take the bears to take advantage and pull us back to, early June levels, 530 or so, or here's a chance for a little consolidation, and we continue to have a blue sky move to the upside. So areas I'm watching, I put on the watch list this morning. I have to update my support resistance, but take a look. 546 and change is kind of the area we hit. We actually hit it early in the morning this morning, late last week. And then on the flip side, 543 or so. So probably some chop here. At least that's my hope. Some chop and then consolidation, we move to the upside. Some I keep talking about the small caps. So I think even if we get a pullback in NVIDIA, small caps, maybe they're gonna take the baton from from the mega cap names, right? So I think if that happens, that'll bode well for stocks through the summer. We get through the summer doldrums, low volume, and then we get into September. So maybe that's the next leg of it. I wouldn't call it the next leg of this market rally, but maybe that keeps markets kind of held up a bit. Take a look at the IWM 201.24 is the 50-day moving average. Traded right around there on Friday. I hopefully we break through that today. You look, small caps are in the green this morning, futures, while Nasdaq and S&P are in the red. So maybe that's a sign that they're ready to outperform. So individual names I'm looking at. So Gilead, some continuation to its HIV prevention data drug that shot, I guess, 2 times 100% prevention rate. The stock rocketed on that news. Then the next day, some continuation, I guess, as people started, looking over that report and data and say, wow, this is good for Gilead. But if you look at the stock, I think it was primed to bounce regardless. So I locked some of my calls in for a little over 100% up. I put on a watch list this morning. I think, especially if it breaks its 200-day moving average at 72.42, I think it's ready to maybe 75, 78. Some analyst updates this morning. Was it this morning? I think I saw someone raise their price target from 80 to 85. I have to go and find that analyst update. But if you can get through that 72 and change spot of the 200-day moving average, I think 75 and so on is going to come. So, I might add some strikes here. We'll see. I also, especially if it finds weakness, I may look to close the rest of my July strikes and revisit. But nice trade there on Gilead. DELL rough back-to-back sessions, down another 2% on Friday, more or less in sympathy with NVIDIA's reversal. Still think this is 180, and then all-time highs in the coming weeks. Nothing's changed. A lot of folks, taking profits, and then still some I guess some concerns. Is this the top in AI and things like that? So I think that offers an opportunity. At the same token, I'm not going to sit there and add more strikes on DELL just yet, but still confident in that name. HPQ, similar story. barely up, up nearly 1/3% on Friday, despite the market pullback. Well, not the market and the AI name pullback. Also over the weekend, Barron's pens this little article: top 10 AI plays under the radar or underappreciated AI names: HPQ, Dell, uh, Adobe. So they listed all the same. It's like the same basket of names that have rallied over the last year. It's almost like, where have you been? What planet have you been on? But again, it just kind of, I think it speaks to some of these names that might not be, they're underappreciated by the investment community. I think HPQ is one of those where people don't look at HPQ and say, wow, this is a name that's going to benefit from the coming refresh cycle and the boom in AI that's coming, or has come, and will continue to come. Still think 40-42 on that one. I added some AMD spec calls. So I had traded it, some lotto calls on Thursday, closed those out flat, and then I added some strikes into this week. I look at it and it was 220 and change in the middle of March. I'm not saying it's just because it was there it deserves to go back there, but I think it can have some kind of outperformance relative to some of the other names. So watching it close over the 50-day for the second session in a row, 159.97. It's trading here right at the 50-day moving average. It starts to get going. I think it trades into the 170s beyond. Spotify, unfortunately, I talked about Spotify and I put on the watch list last week. I had some the spec calls from Friday. I said I'm going to add some strikes into this week because Spotify typically does what normally happens when my calls expire. It rallies on Monday. Looked like it was going to rally here. It's trading pretty much flat in the pre-market. 335 plus is coming. Well, based on the consolidation, you look since the start of June, tested 330, then all the way back under 310. It's been chopping around. To me, it looks like it's going to break into the 330. So don't be surprised if I add some spec calls on that one. The ADA conference, right? The diabetes conference happened this weekend. You had names like TERN, Altimmune, VKTX, Tandems, some of these other names in the diabetes space presenting this past weekend. And this is the time where some of these biotech names come out with their slides and abstracts. Terns came out with theirs this weekend, and Terns has a complementary product to go with these weight loss drugs. So they posted some highlights of their data that they have. Early stage stock is gapping this morning. I'm hoping this is the kick it needs to get back over $8. Still love Terns and Altimmune. So ALT, I was looking for calls. It was showing some strength on Friday. I think it traded up to over 670 in the afternoon. And once you start looking, I said, this is trading up into the ADA conference. And then sure enough, they reported update data on their 48-week study for their weight loss drug. Stock was all the way up to 770 in the pre-market, down here at 724. If that holds around 7 maybe 715, I may look for some spec calls on Altimmune. And then last but not least is Chewy. And Chewy, similar to what happened with Altimmune at the end of the day, huge move to the upside, pretty much right at the end of the session. I don't know if that was some of that rebalance in one of those ETFs, all the way up to 26 before chopping around. Sitting here at 25.47, I may look to add some more strikes here at some point. I shouldn't say at some point. It seems like some of the GameStop crowd is starting to pile in. Huge short interest. The fundamentals, in my opinion, the fundamentals on Chewy validate a much higher valuation regardless of the shorts or any other folks coming in. So that's kind of like the added bonus. So I think it trades into the 30s in the coming weeks, and if not higher, especially if it gets garners some more attention from that short GME, the short crowd, the GME crowd, the stick it to the man crowd. That's about it, folks. Let's have a great day. Hopefully we have some fun moves here. I'll be back on the audio later. Rock and roll.